Okay, welcome to this next edition of the MAHLE Powertrain Tech Talks. Over recent episodes we've been talking about the actual development cycle of the battery, but today we've got something a little bit different. We've got Paul Healding, who's our Vehicle and Test Engineering Manager, who's had 22 years at MAHLE Powertrain, and today we're going to talk about development testing of battery electric vehicles. So once the battery is developed, we've got it inside a vehicle, some of the test work that we can actually do in-house testing these vehicles. So Paul, what kind of electric vehicles can be tested in our vehicle development centre?
So all types of passenger vehicles and just light vehicles up to 2.5 tonne, maximum of 2.5 metres in height. The height in particular is the problem for us. But anything on vehicle charging, off vehicle charging, fully hybrids or fully EV.
Do we have any performance restrictions at all, or?
Not really. The dyno is quite a large, high-rated dyno, so we don't particularly have any problems.
Okay, cool. What types of tests do we typically run on EVs, and how do we measure their range?
So the test is legislated. It's can be either a standard WLTC, where we run a standard cycle multiple times until the battery is drained, or the manufacturer can choose to go for a shortened WLTC cycle, which is it's a 1.5 times a WLTC followed by a constant speed section, followed by 1.5 times WLTC and another constant speed section. The idea is to get the battery to below 10% for the second WLTC cycle, right. And you adjust the constant speed distance to get to that point. We've developed a tool to enable us to predict where that happens.
Right, excellent. So why do we measure range then for people? What's the reason they want to come to us to find that information out?
So various reasons. Manufacturers will want to declare their range to the public. So that's a large part of what we do is the legislative testing, but we also do surveillance work for various customers, where we check that vehicles that are already on the road are still meeting the range, depending on age of the vehicle, because that can have an effect on what the range is.
And I suppose in some cases as well, it's just part of the development cycle of the battery as well, so they're trying to prove that the battery technology does what they wanted it to do, intended it for. Yeah. Okay. So can we measure battery regeneration during deceleration and braking?
Yep, this is done in exactly the same way as a standard test. We have monitors all over the car. Anything that takes power from the battery or puts power back into the battery, we measure, and that all goes into the test. Okay.
So then can we assess then the condition of an EV battery during our testing?
So that again is done in the same way. It tends to be done on a calculation based on condition of the battery at the start of the test versus condition of the battery at the state of charge of the battery at the end of the test. And then there's a calculation that can be done to determine what the condition of the battery is, whether it's lost power over its age of the vehicle.
So how does temperature environment affect battery range in vehicles, and how do we test them at MAHLE Powertrain in the Vehicle Development Centre?
So batteries tend to not like extreme temperatures. They like a nice stable temperature. So there's lots of things like battery coolers and battery heaters in the vehicle to try to regulate that temperature. In particular, they don't like cold starts because the coolers and the heaters aren't working at that point. So we have the ability to chill the vehicle down in our environmental chambers to up to -40 and +60 if need be, and run over the same range to determine what is happening to the vehicle.
Yeah. Oh, we've also got solar loading capability as well. So what's the purpose of that?
So that just adds an extra load to the soak temperature. Okay. So it's a dramatic load on the rest of the car.
Yeah.
We can even take it up to altitude, up to 5,000 meters, and see what the lack of oxygen does to everything on there.
So we really can simulate any kind of condition across the planet and put the car and the battery through that kind of testing capability.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, that's really good. Okay, thanks for your time today, Paul. Really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us on the MPT Tech Talks. join us again soon. If you want to know any more information about our Vehicle Development Centre, please don't hesitate in getting in touch.